Hello friends, welcome to the lectures of heat transfer. In the last lecture we have seen how to apply the Fourier's law to the different situations. For example, to one infinite slab, how to apply the Fourier's law to the hollow cylinder and then to the hollow sphere. Now in this lecture we are going to see some analysis part. Analysis of the heat conduction equation. We are having the heat conduction equation in three direction in the Cartesian coordinate system, and Cartesian coordinate system as well as polar coordinate system and the spherical coordinate system, depending upon what object through which we need to find out the heat transfer rate. So we are going to analyze these equations and we are going to restrict our heat flow only in one direction, that is along x direction or say along the radial direction. So let us see today's first topic as one-dimensional steady-state heat conduction. One-dimensional steady-state heat conduction through slab without heat generation. So let's talk about that, and before I start I would like to take down the equation, three-dimensional heat conduction equation in the Cartesian coordinate system, and that equation is if we take down the material to be isotropic, then the equation will become is dava 2t by dava x square plus dava 2t by dava y square plus dava 2t by dava z square plus the internal heat generation per unit volume, that is G dot divided by K, and that is equals to 1 by alpha into dava T divided by dava small t. I think all of you know what are these terminologies. Everywhere you know what is this alpha. Capital T is the temperature, small t is the time. This G dot is the internal heat generation per unit volume, K is the thermal conductivity, T everywhere is the temperature, and X, Y, Z are the three coordinate system. Now out of that, what we have considered, if you look at the title, it is the steady state. Steady state means what? Dava T by dava T will get cancelled, it will become 0. This parameter will become 0. Next, steady state and without heat generation. Without heat generation means this small g will become 0. This will also get cancelled. Moreover, he says it's one-dimensional steady state. One-dimensional means we are going to cancel out the temperature variation or the temperature gradient in y and z direction. So what equation we will have is, it will be dava 2t divided by dava x square is equal to 0. Now this I will say, this is what one-dimensional steady state heat conduction equation applied to a slab without internal heat generation. Now we are going to analyze this equation. How it is? Say this is equation number 1. Now I am going to integrate this equation. So if I integrate this equation, if I integrate it, what I will have? This power 2, the second derivative of the term t will be reduced to the first derivative, and one more thing I forgot to mention. This is what the partial differential, dava 2t by dava x square. Now if I consider, this is equal to 0, if temperature gradient, if the temperature gradient is only along the x direction, there is no temperature gradient along y direction, no temperature gradient along z direction, then this partial differential equation will reduces to one more form, and that will be d2t divided by dx square is equal to 0. So this is what the regular differential equation of temperature, and that is equal to 0. Now if I integrate this equation, what equation I will get? If after integrating this equation, we will get this is dt by dx is equals to a constant, let us say C1. Now dt by dx is equal to a constant C1, say this is equation number 1. Next, if I again integrate this equation with respect to x and with respect to t, I mean after separating out the variables, I am not going to write down all these steps. So I will get the equation for the temperature T as equals to, it will be C1 into x plus C2. Say this is equation number 2. Next, now I would like to draw the figure to which we are going to apply, or so we are going to analyze all these equations. And the figure is, if you infinite slab means there is a slab over here, this is infinite slab, the temperature at this end of the slab is T1, temperature at this end of the slab is temperature T2, the thermal conductivity K, x coordinate is measured in this direction, this is the x axis, x is equal to 0 at here, the width of this slab is capital L, and I will say x is equal to L over here, capital L over here, right? Now probably the temperature distribution within this much is a straight line like this. This is linear. Why linear? I will tell you. If you check out this term dt by dx, this is the rate of change of temperature with respect to x. If you plot down the variation of temperature with respect to x direction, that dt by dx, it is equal to C1, which is being a constant, and as C1 is constant means what? The slope of this, I mean if I over here if I take down this as the graph, the graphical representation of the temperature with respect to x, then the slope of that curve is dt by dx, and that is equal to constant, and as it is constant, so this has to be a straight line. It cannot be a curve like this, so that there will be somewhat different slope. And this equation T is equal to C1x plus C2 will give you the distribution of the temperature, or say the temperature profile in short. If you take down various values of x over here, if you take down various values of x from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to capital L, what will be the temperature at that particular location x, this equation will give you, where C1 and C2 are constant. Now here we are going to find out constant C1 and C2. Let us take down the boundary conditions. What are the boundary conditions? I am going to take down the first boundary condition, that is at x is equal to 0, at x is equal to 0, temperature T is equal to T1. And if I put down this boundary condition, that is x is equal to 0, then T is equal to T1, x is equal to 0 over here, then the time temperature T is equal to T1 at this surface. And if I put down this condition into this equation number 2, what I will get is T, this is T1 as equals to, x is 0, so this term will be 0, and this will be C2. This is what the value of constant C2. So C2 is equals to temperature T1. Say this is equation number 3. Let's say this is equation number 3. Next, I am going to put down the second boundary condition. What is the second boundary condition? At x equal to L, temperature T will be equals to T2. Check out this one. At x is equal to L, at this coordinate, temperature at this surface is T2. So this we have taken. And if we put down this condition also into this equation number 2 again, what I will get? This is T2 is equals to C1x, C1 into x, so this is C1 into, what is x? X over here will be L plus this is C2, C2. Let us put on the value of C2 over here. What is C2? C2 is, this is T2 as equals to C1L plus C2 we already got it to be equals to, it is equals to T1. Now let us simplify this. Let us simplify this. I think I can get C1L as equals to, this is C1 into L as equals to, C1L will be equal to T2 minus T1. So this is T2 minus T1. It means that we can get the value of C1 as equals to, this is T2 minus T1 divided by the letter capital L. And this is the value of the second constant, sorry, the first constant C1. Say this is equation number 4. This is equation number 4. This is the equation number 4. Next, now to this equation of the temperature profile, this is also important equation. This equation number 2 will give you the temperature profile along the slab, which is infinite one, having the width L and temperature difference T1, T2. And into this equation, this is the equation of a straight line. Clearly you can see this T is one variable, dependent variable, and X is independent variable. So this equation is in the form of y is equal to mx plus c. So this profile, temperature profile, has to be a straight line, and it is so. I have drawn it so. Next one is, we found the value of C1 over there, value of C2, it's over here. So put on both the values of C1 and C2 into this equation. So we will get this equation number 2. Let me rewrite it. Equation number 2 is, this is T is equals to, this is C1x plus C2. If it is so, put down the values of C1 and C2 over there. We will get this T as equals to, what is C1? C1 is equals to T2 minus T1 divided by L into the term X plus C2. What is C2? C2 is equal to T1. C2 is equals to T1. So I think out of this I can take down this T1 over this side. So I will have this as T minus T1 as equals to, this will be, perhaps I would prefer to write it directly, the final answer. This X by L will be equals to, X by L will be equals to T minus T1 whole divided by T minus T1 whole divided by T2 minus T1. This T1 can be taken over this side, so T minus T1 will be over here divided by T2 minus T1. So this is the equation for the temperature profile. I repeat, this is the equation, let us say this is equation number 5. This is the equation for the temperature distribution of the temperature over the entire length of the slab. Since you know the initial temperature at this surface T1, if you know the temperature at this surface T1 and T2, you know the capital length, the total length of the slab, width of the slab, that is capital L, then only unknown will be select T, T1, T2, L, that you know. If you take down the various values of X at this place, you can find out the temperature T at that particular location, and that temperature you will get to be somewhere over here. I am considering this to be the graphical representation of temperature with respect to the X direction. So these points will be somewhere over here. So this is all about the temperature distribution within the slab, right? And that is found to be decreasing. Next. Now let us apply the Fourier's law and try to find out the equivalent thermal resistance. What is Fourier's law? I would like to take down the statement for the Fourier's law. Fourier's law states that the rate of transfer of heat from a slab is equals to minus of K into the term dt by dx. So this is what the Fourier's law. But in this case again, there is one more part, that is the term dt by dx. dt by dx is nothing but, it is the temperature gradient obviously, but this is also the slope of this temperature to the displacement curve, I mean temperature with respect to x direction. So dt by dx is the slope of this temperature curve, and I think we already got it somewhere. So here is dt by dx. You can see here is dt by dx, and value of dt by dx is equal to C1, and C1 we already got it, it's over here. So I would like to write down dt by dx is equal to C1, and that is equals to, what is C1? It is T2 minus T1 divided by capital L. Now this value of dt by dx, temperature gradient, I am going to substitute over here, and after substituting that we will get the equation for Q dot as equals to, look at this, minus Ka, this as it is, this term as it is, minus K into the term A. Now dt by dx, it is T2 minus T1 whole divided by the letter L. So can be simplified to another form as, this is Ka into T1 minus T2 by L. So we will have one more form of the equation, not one more form, the same form, that is Q dot is equals to, it is Ka into T1 minus T2 whole divided by the width of the slab L Now this is what the steady state heat conduction equation through infinite slab without internal heat generation. This equation we got by applying the Fourier's law, and in addition to that I will reshuffle this equation to another form, that is T1 minus T2 whole divided by, this is capital L divided by K into A. So this is the term, and if I equate it to delta T divided by RTH, hope you remember what is this RTH. The RTH is what? The thermal resistance of that particular slab, and that thermal resistance we are getting it to be equals to, this is thermal resistance for the slab is equal to, this is capital L divided by small k into A. So this is what the equation for the thermal resistance, where L is the width of the slab, K, small k, is the thermal conductivity of the material of the slab, and capital A is the area which is normal to the direction of flow of heat that area A is. So this is all about the application of the one dimensional steady flow. This is the analysis of that equation. So let's take down the another one. Let me rewrite the title: one dimensional steady state heat conduction through not a slab, it's a hollow cylinder. One dimensional steady state heat conduction through, और यहाँ पे लिख देता हूँ मैं इसे hollow cylinder without internal heat generation. Rest of the parameters are being the same. We are going to analyze the same equation but in polar coordinate system, and that is applicable to infinite slab. Well, so for this, let us start off with the one dimensional steady state heat conduction equation without internal heat generation. We have seen the three dimensional heat conduction equation for in a polar coordinate system, or say in a cylindrical coordinate system. And if we bring this concept one dimensional, if I bring it to another form, one dimensional, then steady state and without heat generation, then the equation will reduce us to another form, that is 1 by R into d by dr of, into the bracket, R into dt by dr, and this is equal to 0. Now you know the background of this equation. How does this equation came from? You know about that. So I am not going to explain this part. So if it is so, 1 by R d by dr of R into dt by dr. Well, so from this I can also say that this can be reduces to another form. R can be taken over that side, so it will reduces to another form, say d by dr of, into the bracket, R into dt by dr, that is equal to 0. So if I integrate this equation with respect to R, I will get one more equation, and that is, this term will be eliminated and it will be R into dt by dr is equal to a constant C1, and from this I can write down this constant C1 as, from this I can write down the constant C1 as, this is after integrating R into dt by dr, is equal to a constant C1. So from this I can write down dt by dr is equals to the C1 divided by the term r, small r. So this is one important term that we got over here. So remember that this dt by dr is nothing but what? The slope of the temperature curve along the radial direction. Next, if we integrate this equation once again, we will get this to be T is equals to C1. Now we are going to integrate it with respect to r. So r is a variable over here, and we know the integral of 1 by r, 1 by r is natural log of r. So this is natural log of r plus a constant of integration, another constant of integration, that is C2. Say this is equation number 1. Right? Now this equation, let us say this is equation number 1 and this equation is equation number 2. So equation number 1 will give you the slope of the temperature curve along the radius, and that is equal to C1 by r. If C1 is constant, as C1 is being constant, so dt by dr is inversely proportional to r. So the curvature is not linear, it is inversely proportional to the radius r. So as the radius is increasing, the temperature will drop down accordingly in inversely proportion, right? The second equation is the equation for the distribution of the temperature profile, in short, temperature profile with respect to r. Now you can see this is C2 is a constant, C1 is also constant, so T is, I will say this is a natural log of r. So it will vary accordingly. Next, now I would like to draw the figure for that. Say this is a cylinder, it's a hollow cylinder with the inner radius r1. Say here is the inner radius r1 and here is outer radius r2. The thermal conductivity of the material is K. The inner surface area, inner temperature is T1. The outer temperature is T2. The temperature gradient exists only along the radial direction. So the heat transfer will take place only in the radial direction, that is Q dot. And there is no temperature gradient in any other direction, that is along the axial direction. So temperature gradient will exist only in radial direction. So the heat transfer will exist only in that direction, that is radial direction. Next. Now we are going to take down the boundary conditions. What are the boundary conditions? The boundary conditions are when this r, see in this equation there are two variables, one is the radius r and second is the temperature T. Since C1 and C2 are being constant of integral, so they will be constant. So only two variables are there, r and T. So at the inner surface, when the radius is equal to r1, the temperature is equal to T1, and at the outer surface, when the radius is equal to r2, the temperature will be equals to T2. And if we bring these boundary conditions, we will get the equation. I would like to write it over here. At r is equal to r1, T is equals to T1, and second boundary condition is that at r is equal to r2, T is equals to T2, right? And if we put down these boundary conditions, we will get two equations. One equation is that after putting down this boundary condition, we can get the equation, put on this boundary condition over here. So we will have this as T is equal to T1, so it is T1, this is T1 as equals to C1 into natural log of R1, C1 into natural log of R1 plus C2. This is the equation number, let us say this is the equation number 3. And next, T2 is equals to this equation, put on this boundary condition, T is equal to T2 when R is equal to R2. So T is equal to T2 as equal to C1 natural log of R2 plus C2. Say this is equation number 4. Right? Now I am going to perform one operation. What operation? Have this operation, equation number 2 minus equation number 1. So if we do so, we will have this to be, this is T2 is equals to C1 natural log of R2 plus C2, and this is T1 is equals to C1 natural log of R1 plus C2. So if we subtract this second equation, fourth equation from 3, this will be minus, this will be minus, this will be minus. So C2, C2 plus C2 and minus C2 will be cancelled. This will be T2 minus T1. T2 minus T1 will be equals to Now if you take down C1 as common, so C1 is common, so it will be the natural log of R2 minus the natural log of R1, and it can be simplified to another form. Rather, I will prefer to write it as directly. I will write it as this is the natural log of R2 by R1. Hope you know this. If I take down C1 common, remaining term into the bracket will be natural log of R2 minus natural log of R1. So log of A minus log of B is equal to log of A by B. So the same formula I have applied, natural log of R2 by R1. And hence I can write down equation for C1 as it will be T2 minus T1 divided by the natural log of R2 by R1, and this is the value of the constant C1. Say this is equation number 5. This is the value of the constant C1. Now put on this value of constant into any of the equation number 3 or 4, anywhere, say equation number 3. So equation number 3 is, what is equation number 3? It is T1 is equals to C1 natural log of R1 plus C2. So if you put on the value of C1 in this equation, you will get the value of C2. How it is? This is T1 is equals to, what is C1? C1 is T2 minus T1 divided by, this is T2 minus T1 divided by the natural log of R2 by R1 into, this is the value of C1 alone, into natural log of R1 plus C2. So how can you get this value of C2? You can get the value of C2 as, this is C2 is equals to, C2 will be equals to T1 minus this entire term. So it will be T1 minus this as T2 minus T1 divided by natural log of R2 by R1 this C2 is equal to T1 minus this term into natural log of R1, and say this is equation number 6. So we got the value of C2 also. So now look at this equation. This is the basic equation, very important equation. This equation will give you the distribution of the temperature along the radius, and into this equation C1 and C2 are two unknowns, and we already found these two unknowns. This is another unknown, C2 is another unknown. Now put down this value of C1 and C2 into this equation. So after substituting that value in that equation number 2, what is equation number 2? Equation number 2 is T is equals to C1 natural log of R plus C2. So if it is so, then take down the value of C1 over there. So temperature T as equals to, what is C1? T2 minus T1. T2 minus T1 divided by the natural log of R2 by R1. This is C1 into the natural log of R plus, what is C2? C2 is over here. It is T1 minus, this is T2 minus T1 divided by the natural log of R2 by R1 as it is into the natural log of R1 alone, right? So let us simplify this. How will you simplify this? I will prefer to take down this T1 over this side. So on the left hand side I will have this as T minus T1, on the left hand side T minus T1, whereas on the right hand side if we take down T2 minus T1 as common from these two, what will happen? What will remain? If I take down T2 minus T1 as common, so into the large bracket over here at the first term it will be the natural log of R divided by the natural log of R2 by R1, this term as it is, minus this we have already taken outside, so this will be the natural log of R2 divided by the natural log of R2 by R1. I hope all of you can see these writings Purposefully I have reduced my font size to little smaller one, so that I can try to fit the maximum portion of this expression into the single board. I mean, एक ही board पे without rubbing out, I will try to fix up maximum portion. So again it can be simplified. Now take down this part over this side. So you will have this as t minus t1 divided by t2 minus t1. This is the one term, and that is equals to, now if we take down natural log of r2 by r1 and here natural log of r2 by r1, so I can take down that term as LCM over here. So this is the natural log of r2 by r1. So what will be there in the numerator? In the numerator it will be natural log of r minus natural log of r2. Something wrong? I'm sorry, it has to be r1 over here. It has to be r1. So if we take down natural log of r2 by r1 as LCM, in the numerator it will be natural log of r minus natural log of r1 and can be written as natural log of r by r1. And here we come across one important result, and this result is nothing but the temperature distribution along the radial direction. If you take down along the radial direction, how the temperature is distributed from this point, from the inner surface to the outer surface, and that temperature distribution is given by this equation, right? Well, so let us continue this one. Say I will say this as equation number, what was the previous equation number? Equation number 5, so this is equation number 6. Let us say it as equation number 6. So what we got over here, we got the temperature the slope of the temperature curve, then the equation for the temperature profile, and detailed equation for the temperature profile. You can say it as the temperature distribution. This equation will give you the temperature distribution along the radial direction. Now let us apply the Fourier's law to the heat transfer through a cylinder. What is the Fourier's law? Fourier's law says that Q dot is equals to minus K A into dt by dr. So I will simplify this to another form. This is equals to, remember that A is the surface area of the cylinder, and if I take down any arbitrary radius over here, say somewhere over here, in between R1 and R2, R1 और R2 के बीच में कोई भी एक distance ले लिया मैंने, and if I try to get one imaginary circle or imaginary cylinder over here whose radius will be R, so here is the radius R. So and if the length of the cylinder is considered to be L, capital L, then the surface area of this imaginary cylinder will be 2 pi R into L. That is the first part. I will write it over here. This is equals to minus K, area is 2 pi L, 2 pi RL, 2 pi RL into, now this is minus K as it is, area of the cylinder is 2 pi RL into dt by dr. Now you can get it dt by dr. What is this dt by dr? Dt by dr is equal to C1 by R, and I can write it over here. This is C1 by R. Now instead of the temperature gradient dt by dr, I am going to substitute it as C1 by R. Now here, this RR will be get cancelled, and we know the value of C1, that is a constant, and it's over here. So if I write it, I will have this Q dot as equals to minus of 2 pi Lk, minus of 2 pi Lk is the almost constant 2 pi Lk. C1, value of C1 is over here, T2 minus T1, it is T2 minus T1 divided by the natural log of R2 by R1, right? If I take down the negative sign inside the bracket, this equation will become equals to, Q dot will be equals to, it will be 2 pi Lk into the bracket T1 minus T2 whole divided by the natural log of R2 by R1. So this is the equation for the heat transfer due to conduction through a hollow cylinder. So out of that, let us reshuffle it so as to get the equation for the thermal resistance of the cylinder. So this equation Q dot can be written as Q dot is equals to this delta T. I am going to write it first, T1 minus T2, not delta T, it's minus of delta T, divided by the denominator term, that is the natural log of R2 by R1 whole divided by then rest of the parameter into the denominator, that is 2 pi Lk. So this is 2 pi Lk. This is a square bracket for the denominator, and this I would like to equate it with delta T, or say T1 minus T2. This is the driving potential for the flow of heat, divided by RTH. RTH is nothing but it is the thermal resistance for the heat transfer, and I can write down the equation for the thermal resistance RTH as equals to, this is the natural log of R2 by R1 whole divided by, it is 2 pi Lk, and this is the equation for the thermal resistance of the cylinder. If I say this is equation number 6, this is equation number 7, and this is the equation number 8. So this is all about the heat transfer, the one-dimensional steady-state heat conduction through a hollow cylinder without internal heat generation. Remember that I already told you that at the beginning, but once again I would like to tell you, all this we have derived for one condition, that is daba T by daba small t, that is the rate of change of temperature with respect to time, that is equal to 0. Second, G dot, the internal heat generation per unit volume, that is also equal to 0. And third condition is that this is totally one dimensional heat flow. This is the separate from the entire expression. Now under these conditions only, we have derived entire expression. If we if we consider the temperature variation with respect to time and G dot and second and third direction also, then the entire expression will be much complicated, much complicated. This is a very simple form, right? So there is one more part of this expression is remaining, and that is logarithmic mean area. But I think we are running out of time, so we should stop over here. And what is that concept of logarithmic mean area? And the next topic, the one-dimensional steady-state heat conduction through hollow sphere without internal heat generation. That topic we will see in the next lecture. So for today, let us stop over here. See you.